1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, and welcome back to It's Not a Sport, Season 3, 29. This is our second to last episode before our finals next week. So look forward to our finals. As always, we're going to recap the year. It's going to be a really good show. But we also have a really interesting show this week. Next week is the release date of the next gen consoles and so many games. So look forward to that. Towards the end of the episodes, we'll be going over all the stuff coming out next week. But before that, I want to talk about our main topic, which will be storage. It's going to be a huge topic moving forward, and it's very impactful for everybody because this is, what we're paying for, our bang for our buck behind also all the technology and power moving forward. But quick reminder, as leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Check out all of our links in the description below. You can find us, our social media down there, our music down there. You can also find where we post all of our shows on iTunes, SoundCloud, and all of our YouTube channels. So all that is in the description below. Definitely check that one out. So let's get into our main talk this week, which is storage. And if you don't know what storage is, well, it's basically broken into two big parts. When you're designing a machine, any type of machine, you have a SSD, which stands for solid state drive, and you have a HDD, which stands for hard disk drive. And let's talk because it is the OG way of storage, really. So first off, there's certain amounts of storage. You have megabytes, you have kilobytes, megabytes, and gigabytes. This is all pretty standard stuff. It goes for any sort of download speed, anything like that. Gigabytes isn't the biggest, but terabytes is the biggest. But that's where generally we're working in the gigabyte range, and that's how it used to be. Moving forward, as files become larger, things become bigger. We're now textures in video games and movies and shows, etc. We're now getting into the terabyte era, and this is where things kind of get iffy. So backing up a little bit, a solid state drive or hard drive, right? What it is, and it is a disk that stores memory on it, and then the machine reads the disk, kind of really similar to a record, and that's how it works. But they're, compared to what we have now, they're incredibly slow, they're incredibly outdated. At the prices right here on Amazon that I have up on the screen, if you're listening on the YouTube, they're very cheap. We could get a 500 gigabyte, which is how much space the current PS4 holds, for about $50. They're extremely cheap because they're slow, they're prone to break down more, they're just an out-of-date kind of technology. And we've started to leave these behind. That's why they're so cheap. That's why no one really uses them. That's why you can get a lot of space for a lot less. What we require now is we need better, faster memory. We need more memory, but we need it faster. To load a game up faster, people want speed. They want they want to get rid of loading screens, and that's what SSDs do. So they are essentially kind of the digital version of the hard drive, new updated version. However, if we want 1 terabyte, now you can get half a terabyte of a hard drive for $50. Now, if you want 1 terabyte of a solid state drive, it's $100. Pretty good. 1 terabyte is pretty good. It will get you a long way. Now, here's the problem. Moving forward, we see games they're taking up more space. We have Warzone, which took up almost 200 gigs at one point. Red Dead Redemption takes up 100 gigs on the PS4. All the old Call of Duty, I remember Black Ops 3 took up like 90 gigs, and that's space, that's already gone. Like, just those 3 games alone, your terabyte is almost done. I have a terabyte SSD. I've had this computer for about 2 years, and it's already finished. Both hard drives are already pretty much point where I'm at a breaking point where I will have to invest in another SSD in order to get things to run faster. Most of my games I can't even put on my SSD because on that SSD is also my operating system, which takes up a lot more, about 100 gigs up of space. So as we're moving forward, memory becomes more of a precious resource for gamers everywhere because these game files are getting bigger. They're not getting smaller, they're getting bigger. And memory expensive because now not only do game consoles use them, but computers use them, our phones use them. So they're more SSDs are more higher in demand than they were years ago, which makes it more expensive to get them, which is why we see these small memory. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about these next gen consoles because the Xbox Series X will come with 1 terabyte of storage. However, it only 102 gigabytes of it being usable because the other 200 gigabytes that should be in that 1 terabyte are being used up for its operating system. So that's its, whatever operating system the Xbox operating system, what it's being used up for. So you will only have 802 gigabytes for games, which isn't a lot. When we have games that are coming out, which are being almost 90, 70, 100 plus, that only maxes out at maybe 5 games total. Okay. Now, bringing back down to the less expensive version, the Xbox Series S, it will have only around 364 gigabytes, which is worse out of a total of 512 gigabytes. So 400% or 40 of that, or my bad, 400 is using up for the operating system, and you only have 4 games, which is nothing. And that also includes space of your app. So if you want to have the Netflix app on it, Amazon Prime app on it, all that also includes that. So you don't have a lot of space to work with. That's 3 games at max for the Xbox Series S, maybe 5 games for the Xbox Series X. So moving forward, I hope you get kind of what I'm saying here, where storage is becoming very, very, it's a resource that we can't get. So how is Xbox solving this? Well, they're solving it by selling you a $300, so another console, or $220 storage expansion card for both. So if you bought, right, if you're a parent and your kid says, I want an Xbox, I want an Xbox, I want an Xbox, okay, and he says, well, and you're like, okay, and you look at the Xbox Series S, and the S is more affordable at the price point of $300, okay, and you buy that for him. Well, you're getting screwed because now you bought him a $300 console, the more affordable one that people, can't afford the $500 one, and you're only getting 376, whatever the number was, of space for games. So now he can only play 2 games, and then your kid comes up to complaining. He's like, I don't have any memory fucking play any games. Can we buy this $220 expansion card? Well, now that 300 is going to the 500, so you might as well have bought the terabyte Xbox Series X with the terabyte in it. However, now if you're in the terabyte, if you bought the Xbox Series X instead of the Xbox Series S, I know this is very confusing, now you have to spend, and you use up that terabyte, so you use up the 800 have remaining. Now you have to spend an additional $220 to get another expansion card in order for you to play more. And yes, it is an extra terabyte, so it's good. So you can have 2 terabytes of games, and then at that point you're set. But you're already or $700 in the bank to like have 2 terabytes of storage for games, and that's a lot. It's honestly a lot. It's a smart business perspective, I have to say it is a smart move from Xbox. It's very smart to make you pay for storage, to capitalize on storage. If you want to buy storage from them, you want more storage, you got to buy it from them. It's very smart. It did the same thing, and I'll tell you a secret hack. Nintendo Switch's storage is also 500, but you can buy a micro SD to expand the storage, and that helps a lot. That helps out. Of course, there's always the option of external hard drives. You can do external hard drives. I've heard that the Xbox Series X, from the reviews, transitioning from one to another, the external hard drives is actually very good. So that's also another option. You can just do an external hard drive. But I to your attention, and you can see the problem with storage moving forward. It's going to become something marketable. It's in high demand, these SSDs, not just for our consoles, but for our phones as well. Apple wants them, Microsoft wants them, Samsung is the one that produces them, same with Sony. So these things are in high demand, and they're going to become more marketable moving forward. Until they get more accessible for the global market, we're going to have this kind of shortage of storage, this drought of storage. Talked about the Xbox. I've talked about its issues, how they're kind of going to monetize storage moving forward. You can always move I have a secret hint for us at the end of this talk. You can always have a external hard drive. There's many things moving that you can do to solve this issue, but it's going to be an issue. For the PlayStation, however, the PlayStation also comes with probably about 1 terabyte of space. However, 667 is available. That's how much you have for space, which is nothing. That's how much basically my PlayStation 4 has. 667 gigabytes of space, because the operating system takes up, it calls with a certain that platforming game that's escaping my mind right now. So it's not a lot of space to work with at all for the PlayStation 2. Now here's PlayStation's problem, right? All the things that I talked about before, but PlayStation's problem is Sony confirms that the PS5 will not support SSD storage expansion at launch. So at launch, if you want to play all your old games but you don't have space, you can't expand it. You can't make your at all. They're not allowing it right now. Maybe they'll find some way moving forward, but right now it's not possible. So I don't know what the plan is with Sony with moving forward up with that amount of space. Now the good thing about these consoles, right, is that they are using M2 or M.2 SSDs, which are kind of small micro USDs. Again, I'm just bringing this out now because we're going to talk about that later. But the storage problem becomes even more of a problem if you're getting a PlayStation, because you will not have enough storage for your games. You'll have to micromanage your games, with Warzone already taking about 200 gigs, the whole Call of Duty thing, and it's going to be a lot. So, yes, moving on, just to get you an idea of the games. Call of Duty Warzone or Cold War at launch for the PS4 will be 95 gigs, which is a lot. And then for the PS5, it's 133 gigs. The Xbox One is 93 gigs. For the Xbox Series X and S is 136 gigabytes, which is a lot. It is a lot. So why am I saying this? Why do I really want to bring this up to attention? Because this is the part where I can address why the bigger for the next gen consoles and not bigger for the new ones. So the developers have the technology in order to choose which files they want to have on your console. And the reason why are so big compared to years ago is the textures. It's the assets. 4K textures are massively bigger in file size than the previously 1440p textures are. They're just bigger. That's really the problem, right? The reason why Warzone and Call of Duty Modern Warfare is so big is because it's taking a whole bunch of 4K assets and downloading those into your game file. Even if you don't use those, even if you can't capitalize on those assets, it's still there and it's still taking up a shit ton of space. That's the real reason why storage is becoming. Developers have had to do is they've had to kind of cut back on these assets to try and make the file smaller. I think moving forward, they should give you the option whether you want to download 4K or think the world's really there for 4K. A lot of people they want to push it, but it's not there. It's where it's so much of a difference where it's standardized. A lot of the problems that we're facing now with this issue is that these things in the market yet, and they're a very niche thing. If you want it and you're like a tech savvy, super want everything to look good, then it's an option for you. But if you just want to play the game, it really doesn't matter to you. The thing, a lot of people just want to play the game. For Cyberpunk, we have the recommended will be 70 gigabytes, which is surprisingly small for a game that looks that big, but it's still a lot. 70 gigs, that's actually the standard now, I would say. 70 to 80 gigs is the standard for video games right now. Anything over that is a lot more. So just to get an idea of how much these games are, like, go back to early 2010s, these games were like 30 gigs at most. Now they're 70. That's the standard. I want you to get that idea in your head. So here's a solution for all you guys who are planning to buy an Xbox out there. There's a report that from a Twitter that the Xbox Series X SSD is an M2 220 30 format. Insert it into a slot in the motherboard. It's really easy to replace. If I look on Amazon to see how much that costs, $44, basically $150 for a 512 gigabyte solid state drive that you can get. I'm sure if we look even more, do a little bit more research, you can get bigger sizes. But you can basically maybe buy your own SSD for cheaper instead of buying Amazon's one. I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Amazon's probably a little, or Microsoft, my bad, is probably a little bit more overpriced because they have to make money from not only the SSD, it's them, selling it. But you can solve this problem on your own, again, with just buying one straight off the bat or having a external hard drive or SSD that you can plug into your system. Anyway, that's going to be the talk. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Storage is a huge issue that's going to address everyone moving forward. It's definitely something that needs to be more standardized moving forward. But because it's in such high demand for everyone, and we're all going to end up running space, especially how with games being bigger. Anyway, let's get into game releases and the news. No esports this week because we're off, starting now. All right, rapid fire news time because we have a lot of release dates to go over for this week. So let's go over that real fast. First off, starting with Super Mario 3D All-Star has sold 5.21 million copies in just 12 days. So it did really well. Not surprised here. Classic games that I think everyone wants to play, but everyone has issues with how Nintendo handled the situation. So it's good on Nintendo. They're making bank. They're really making bank this year. The rumors were true. Happy in 7-Day. Legendary Edition will be coming out. They're making it. We knew this was going to happen. The rumors were spreading around that this was going to happen. So they're remastering all the OG Mass Effects, which is really nice. If you haven't played the Mass Effects, they're classic RPG, really classic RPG sci-fi games that I don't think can be really created again. They're kind of like the original Star Wars of video games in a way, if you understand what I'm meaning. So funny thing here, moving. Square Enix reported that they lost 6.5 billion yen on Marvel's Avengers. So really not a big surprise here. we knew that game was gonna flop, like right off the bat. It didn't look good. It played terribly. Then it lost its players base. That's a lot of money. Yeah, it was really not that it didn't sell well, and it like flopped super big just on what they were doing. We have tons of episodes about it, so if you're interested on why that game failed, go back and listen to those episodes. It's not a surprise here, but yeah, it's huge. ESPN is laying off, and they're laying off Jacob Wolf, who's kind of the main esports dude there. So that's kind of nutty. Yeah, it's a lot of layoffs. Not always good to see layoffs, especially in gaming and people and new faces coming in, not less going out. Deej, the one of the more famous community managers for Bungie, who's community managed Destiny for forever, really. He has, I guess, left Bungie recently, or left Destiny 2, which is really interesting. He is having its new expansion coming out real soon, so it's sad to see him go because he was a really good community manager, one that I think actually really interacted with his community more than we see any other people. Like when I was playing Destiny, I knew that Deej was the community manager in League for 10 years. I don't even know who the community manager of League of Legends actually is. Who manages our community? Who we're supposed to talk to? I don't know. So like that's how big that thing is. More PlayStation, it will be reported that the PS5 won't support 1440p resolution. It's not a big deal because most TVs are 1080 or 4K, but for us, who may use a monitor like that and won't support it, it kind of sucks. It's really weird how Sony's done this, where Xbox has so many technical features and such good hardware, where Sony doesn't. For the games, I would probably buy an Xbox, but because Sony has better games and the games I want to play exclusives, I'm more PlayStation oriented. I also have a PC that covers all the technical issues that the consoles don't. So yeah, that's that. Source code for Watchdog Legions has leaked. For its again, talking about storage, the source code including assets is 560 gigabytes, and they brought that down to whatever the game is, which is probably about maybe. I want to do a talk about Ubisoft. Look forward to that in next season, because I think they're a very interesting company that started off very strong and was one of my favorites, and now they make the same three games over and over again. Definitely want to do a talk on them, so look forward to that next season, and definitely remind me because they're definitely on my radar, especially with Watch Dogs Legions and how interesting of a game it is from a technical standpoint. Activision reported that they have made 1.2 billion from microtransactions in just 3 months. Activision Blizzard, I think they did a thing with this report that they're going to double down on mobile games. I think they're going to leave their classic PC fan base behind, and those guys will kind of have to suffer because they want to break into China, they want to break into India. Those are the biggest markets, Brazil, and like they really just how much money they've made from microtransactions. That's where the future of that company is headed. That's the future of, again, a lot of companies are headed. We see it with Riot, which how they're pushing League of Legends mobile so much, and they put both the card game and TFT on mobile. That's the future. That's where these big companies are headed. That's where they want to go. So it's not a surprise there. Let's get into the news. What's coming out this week? There is a lot. First off, reviews are out for both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. And they're both getting very good reviews. Xbox Series X is praised for how its load times, how it's seamless transition. But they also say that it not having Halo is really suffering from it. It's PlayStation's getting praised by having a great controller. The controller's been praised a lot and how good the controller. There's that. Also, Marvel Spider-Man comes out. So let's get into all these talks. First off, Assassin's Creed Valhalla releases for the Xbox Series X/S, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One, Stadia, and PC on November 10th. Tuesday. Gameplay is already out. Again, I want to talk about this and all in a Ubisoft thing because I think that addresses these issues, because I really, really loved Assassin's Creed growing up. And the Assassin's Creed now is not the Assassin's Creed that we all fell in love with. So I want to talk about that. Look forward to that talk next season. We quick Borderlands 3, Brighter Memory, Dead by Daylight are all coming out November 10th for the Xbox Series X and X and so confusing. Those are just re-releases, nothing huge there. Destiny 2 and Destiny 2 Beyond Light. It's Destiny 2 is coming for the Xbox Series X and S, and the Beyond Light coming out for the Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC on November 10th. Then we have Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition comes out for the Xbox Series X on November 10th. We have Enlisted, Evergrade, Fortnite, Horizon Zero Dawn, Fusion, Gears 5, Gears Tactics, Grounded, King Oddball, Liftoff, Man Meat, Manifold, NBA 2K, for Ori and the Will of the Wisp, Planet Coaster Console Edition, Sakura of the Rice Ruins, Sea of Thieves, Tetris Effect, Connect, The Falconer, Warhammer, Watch Dogs, WRC9 are all coming out on November 10th for the Xbox Series X and S, and that is because on November 10th, the Xbox Series S and the Xbox Series X. So a bunch of remakes, a bunch of new games coming out on those days, because on Tuesday, that is when the Xbox comes out. We also have, 13 coming out for the PlayStation 4, Xbox, and PC on November 10th. Yakuza Like a Dragon comes out for the Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC on November 10th. Yes, Your Grace comes out for the Xbox Series X. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, comes out 5 on November 12th. Here we go, rapid fire again. Astro's Playroom, Borderlands 3, Bugsnax. Those guys are actually made by the DePaul organization, I believe. Bugsnax is that made Octodad. They're all DePaul alumni. Demon Souls, Destiny 2, Destiny 2 Beyond Light, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, Dirt 5, Esports Life Tycoon, Fortnite, Godfall, Just Dance 2021 for some reason, Eater, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, NBA 2K21, Observer System Redux, Planet Coaster Console Edition are all coming out on November 12th for the PlayStation 5, because the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 5 Digital Edition all come out on November 12th. That also continues with Sackboy: A Big Adventure, The Pathless, which is actually interesting to me, Watch Dogs, all come out on November 12th for the PlayStation 5. So definitely check those out, because those are the games. Again, if you want an Xbox, if you want a PlayStation, November 10th and November 12th are the days for you. Those days are Thursday, which is the 12th, and Tuesday, which is the 10th. So those are big days. Just these days alone. From Tuesday the 10th to Thursday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Big fucking days for gaming in the industry. Or to it. Those are the days. Also, why it's on my mind, if you're planning to pick up a PlayStation at your local retailer, don't do it. It won't be there. They'll only be online sales. So you have been warned. All right. A lot of information. It's a lot of information for me to keep up with, but that's just how big things are right now. This is probably gonna be a long episode. All right, moving forward, we have Call of Duty Cold War that releases for the PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, and PC on November 13th. Kingdom Hearts Melody which is the rhythm game, comes out for the PS4, Xbox One, and Switch for November 13th. And that's where we are going to end this rapid fire of, because after that we get to this week's over, we can get to the final months of the year. So anyway, those games are all coming out very soon, and other things that are coming out that are smaller things that be on your radar. Esports season. If you are still trying to climb, if you are having a wonderful climb or a terrible climb like me, this season ends on Tuesday the 10th. So you have literally one day to do it. I wish you the best of luck. I honestly do. If you're like me and have been playing Genshin Impact but on the fence of whether you want to continue, the next patch comes out on those days as well. So look forward to that as well. Anyway, with all that out of the way, with our storage, that's going to conclude the second to last show of It's Not a Sport. If you want to listen to any of our past shows, they are all in the links are in the description below. Our SoundCloud, our YouTube, our iTunes, all in the description below. Follow us on social media. It's Not a Sport to You. Also in the description below. You can also find our music or our contact information below if you want to let me to talk about anything, any topic in the gaming industry, whether it's industry, business thing, I will talk about it down below. Anyway, this has been your host, Salty Waffles, signing off, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful final climb.